Hi, everyone. Welcome to January. Thank you so much, my Quantum Power Deck subscribers. I really love this, partly because it holds me accountable a little bit. And I just love being able to share with so many people my messages, not really my messages, but my paintings and my gifts. And so I'm really, really grateful for you all. Um, this month is pretty special, partly because they say that some of the energies in this painting have never been here before. Um, because we are awakening in a way energetically the system, like the crystalline grid on the planet is shifting. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically the energetic system that holds um, the planet together. Like if you know what our Merkaba is as a human being, maybe these terms are really different for you, but it's basically our energy system outside of our physical form. Because material matter like this is really dense. So anything, right? Like thoughts are really light. They kind of work in different realms. Sound, the same thing. And then as you create matter, it's basically really slowing down those wavelengths of light and condensing into making material matter. And in a way, that is what's happening with the crystalline grid. The crystalline grid is its Merkaba, so it's before it starts condensing. So it's like our Merkaba is the energy system beyond our body. They say that we have like I forget the exact, like our actual energy being is like super tall, super wide, like as big as a building. And that's why we are so affected by our environments. For those of you that are more sensitive, you have to be a little bit mindful of, where you put yourself around, who you put yourself, not just where, but who and what you put yourself around, and even media and things like that. Those are all oscillating frequencies and energies that that may or may not affect you in a positive way. So it's really being, especially as you're, awakening. This is it's important to start beginning to understand these subtleties because it'll help make a lot of sense, and you can kind of create boundaries as you need them. So, in this way, the crystalline grid, which as part of the Earth system, it holds memory. And in that memory are all of the wars and things that we've had on this planet, but all the beautiful things too. All of the all honestly, like the ice ages, the dinosaurs, right? It holds all of this information that we may or may not have access to. And in this way, they're saying that a part of the planet is kind of awakening in a way where new information is available to us. And that's super exciting. Um, so, yeah, before we get into the personal stuff, they want us to remember that when we were in embryo, before we even created into form, we first begin, it doesn't start in our brain, it actually starts, our first organ to kind of create or is formed is the heart. And so it's a reminder that as these physical spiritual beings, we started out as a heart. And this heart is created through electromagnetic waves. So we started to make our own electromagnetic field. And in that electromagnetic field, we actually started creating magnetism. So this electro is part of the masculine. So electro is masculine energy, and the magnet is the feminine energy. So being able to pull out, and the electro being able to push away, right? So in the very beginnings of our own creation, that's us in the simplest form. And when you have both energies working well, right, it begins this, it it is the higher heart. It is what they would call a Taurus heart, Taurus heart. This is our higher heart. This is the heart of knowing where we come from, right? It is a complete, balanced, and unified heart. It's Christ consciousness kind of heart, right? We all have it. And in this way, when it's balanced, it really creates a very beautiful and electrifying energy. And that's partly what this is. You see how electrifying it is? It literally has, if you can see it, I'll have you kind of come up close, right? It has this really just electrifying energy to it. It's powerful. So this painting is about feeling, using this heart space. This is part of the awakening process on the planet, is our hearts. And in that energy of our hearts, in that electro and magnetic kind of energy, it is the beginning of our duality. And whenever we say duality, it is our experience of reality here on this planet. They say other planets, they actually have other experiences. It's not a duality. So, which just kind of brings more questions to me. But anyways, duality is the experiencing of light and dark, like needing the dark to understand light and needing light to understand dark. And in that duality is so much creativity and so much creation, so much passion, because we get to create whatever it is that we want. That's what we consider free will. And so in that duality, having this electro energy kind of beginning in our hearts and this magnetic field being able to pull things towards us, and the beginning of duality, it creates this Taurus heart, which begins this spark plug. It's like a lightning bolt that connects the above to the below, right? So when we do this, we have this balance. We have an ability to manifest quickly, right? Manifest instantaneous from above so below. So whatever it is that we desire, because we're so connected with our higher selves, we know how to manifest it out into the world instantly. And we have no doubts, right? It's beautiful. It's like, yes, I want that, right? But just like the crystalline grid, our own bodies and our own beings, right? It passes through the crystalline grid and our own energetic systems within our DNA. Everything passes through this heart or this energy where it holds all of our memories and all of our memories. And so it's important as we move through this heart space to just remember that it's going to be everything. And when I say everything, I mean all time, all space. And so it's very intense. It can be very intense. And so I started this painting here in this heart space right here, right? And this is in a space where it's darkness. You can see it in there. It's like a dark cavern. And you can see in her chest, it's being split open. And what that means is right now, everyone's kind of experiencing this heartbreak. We're really trying to expand our hearts collectively and individually. And in that, we are being asked to go into those painful spaces, into the sadness, into depression, into all of these negative things. And not because we're dark beings, because darkness is nothing but light waiting to be awoken. There's light in the dark, and it's trying to transform this darkness into light. That's how you create this Taurus heart. That's how you get back home, not avoiding and denying. It's not like we're going to positive think our way out of these negative feelings like, hey, I'm really angry, but I'm going to ignore that because I'm supposed to be positive. Or, hey, I'm feeling really sad, but I'm supposed to be happy. That's nothing but dysfunctional way of thinking. That's not healthy. It's not balanced. It's not even wise. A wise one knows and understands all emotions have a purpose. And our emotions is the map because it's connected to our heart. It's a map to our own enlightenment. Meaning, if you could just surrender to this heart space, to your emotional self, and learn how to navigate that and love all of the parts that come up, you would get there so fast. You would be healing so fast. Our bodies want balance, and there's a divine intelligence involved here. And it's showing you the way. And it's really more about trusting this process. And the biggest piece of this is moving out of the way, getting our brains to move out of the way of this emotional self. So this journey, this whole embodiment of this painting begins by breaking our hearts. And that doesn't sound like fun, but it is the way through. I personally have experienced this the last month because even whenever I paint a painting, I have to experience it. So let me tell you, it's not easy. And everybody has their own darkness and their own form of it and their own biggest fears, their own dragon to slay, their own darkness to face. It's just like all of those hero tales, where you have to look at your fear in the face and be like, no, I'm choosing a different way. No. But first, you have to honor how you feel. And you have to allow for this fear within you is there for a reason. Meaning you had those experiences, meaning it makes a lot of sense for you to feel the way that you do. You were hurt. You are sad. And there's reasons behind it. And it could just be a part of you. And that's how I process it too, is separating it a little bit, understanding that that's a part of me. It's not all of me. Though sometimes the fear can be very overwhelming where I think that that's all that I am. And that's okay too. Just by having this information today, you can say, hey, I know I'm not dying. Like my anxiety was super high where I thought it was dying, truly. But I knew better. I knew to trust. So before I called the hospital, I actually was just like, nope, this is happening for a reason. And I calmed my nervous system down. You still have to do that. You have to get out of fight, flight, or freeze, right? And you learn to navigate and you learn to kind of figure out what's going on and why you're feeling the way that you do. It's really just a part of you that really needs love and attention. So you give it to that. You hold that part of you. You tell that part as many times. You have to sit with it for 4 hours in the middle of the night. You sit with it for 4 hours in the middle of the night, just like a child, if a child who's having a hard time. So it begins there. In part, they say, because the planet is so out of balance and we have to get back to our hearts and we have to regain the wisdom that the ancients have had in this emotional space, in this divine feminine. The divine feminine parts of us know our emotional selves is a major part of enlightenment. You can't think your way to enlightenment. It's an embodiment, it's a feeling, it's an experience. And in that experience, we have to honor the human form, the personality that we are in. Because whatever personality you are, maybe you're really anal, maybe you're really sloppy and creative, maybe you're whatever, whoever you are, it's perfect. And you're meant to be that. It's about figuring out what you really like and what really aligns with you. So that's partly why she is here as a female. Now, it doesn't matter if you're a male or a female this lifetime. We're all genders. And if we're experiencing a female this life or a male this life, we still have a divine aspect with a divine feminine aspect and the divine masculine aspect of us, the pushing out and the pulling in. And let me tell you, in this culture, it's really been supported to be more this way than learning how to do this. Or maybe you're way too like this and you're not enough this, right? It's a balance. Meaning, do you know who you are? And then do you act on it? Some people act. They like to do. They like to stay busy, right? That's being very much this and not enough. Hey, wait a second. Does this align with me? Do I really like this? What do I like? We talk a lot about, to me, the pandemic of this is the pandemic to me, this emotional unawareness, right? This Brenda loves this too. This is her. This is why she does all the work she does. Because you can be imbalanced the other way, meaning you don't act at all and you stay passive and you let everybody else kind of define you, right? Or you might have a really strong notion of what you like and you don't like, but you don't tell anybody. And you don't really act on it. And you feel like a victim. Like everything's kind of happening to you and you don't know how. And that's okay too. But wherever you're at is beautiful. This message is all about creating balance for yourself. And if you choose it, right, you could have the life that you want. So that is why she is feminine. And so this message isn't just for females, it's for all beings. Get to know who you are. Get to know what you like, what you don't like. Really get to know that. Have a creative expression. What do you like to do? Right? This whole process is due to parts of the North and South Pole melting. You know, they say that nothing bad is happening. Actually, the Earth is coming into balance. And this process of what we're experiencing with the weather change is actually right on time. It is time for us to awaken and take responsibility for how we mistreat the Earth, because it is a representation of how we actually treat ourselves in an unconscious way. We treat the feminine in an unconscious way. We literally trample over our hearts and each other's hearts all the time. We completely disregard how other people are feeling, really. Because we don't really listen to ourselves, most of us. And it's supported in our cultures, especially modern cultures. And it's okay. I'm not saying this as judgment. It's more about let's bring awareness to it, right? Because as we bring awareness to it, we can choose to change it or not. Being like, yeah, do I do that? I know I do. I know sometimes I get so busy doing, I don't check in with myself. Sometimes I make myself do things because even though I'm so freaking tired and I don't want to, or I do things for people that doesn't align with me. I mean, I'm like a recovering people pleaser for sure. And I know that resonates with a lot of people. So getting back into what balance really is doing what's best for yourself and being kind. I mean, both things can be true. You can want to do something for somebody, but it really doesn't align with you, or you're really tired. But you're like, hey, I mean, anybody with kids knows that. Like, I'm really tired and I really just need some me time. But, you know, my son or my daughter needs something. I'm going to do that because both are true. I choose out of love to be there for my children, right? So navigating that space. So they say that we are in the beginnings of a mini ice age, and this is part of the Earth's natural regulatory procedure. If you go back into the ice, and there's science to prove this, you can see that many ice ages have occurred, and we're due for one. Not to say we don't need to take responsibility, because we are in the era where we need to start taking responsibilities for our actions. But it makes sense because we're doing that internally. So of course it's expressing itself externally with the earth. And as the earth is melting in some parts, it's going to bring about so many new discoveries of species. And but on an energetic level or spiritual level, it's really awakening new things that we haven't seen in a long, long time, in some ways ever, because it can come through the water. The new energy can come through the water. It's the easiest like bridge in a way. That's what they say. It's actually already in our water, this new frequency that we're meant to kind of meet up with. And it's in our DNAs. And that's part of the reason why this breaking of the heart is occurring. When I say breaking of the heart, we're just becoming really aware of the unconscious patterns that are hurting us, unconscious belief systems that don't align with our higher heart. And that higher heart being that we're these magnificent beings of light. That's it. And that we're truly loved. And that we're allowed and safe to be who we are in every situation, everywhere, in every relationship, in any environment. And the more we practice this internally and start creating that externally with our closest relationships, if you need to leave a job because it doesn't really align with you, and you start making choices that are more in alignment with the frequency of this higher heart, it's going to change the planet so much. Because ultimately, you're giving permission for other people to feel safe enough to do it. And if you're watching this video, you are kind of a way shower, meaning you're meant to show the way. These kinds of frequencies you relate to. And I know you know many people that don't really pursue this kind of information. Now, we're all on the path of enlightenment. There's no judgment. Everyone's perfect right where they are. But you, dear light worker, you are here to help. And that means you're kind of doing the work. You're doing all the things that are happening. And it's arising for you. And it's time to remember who you are. So as this is like an ice cave, right? As this ice cave melts, in a way, it's remembering the ancients, right? Because in some ways, the things that were in the ice are very, very old and very, very new, but very, very old. So it's remembering that you have within you all the knowledge and wisdom you need. Meaning tap into that knowing. And believe me, there's spirit guides around you right now and angels that are around you that are helping you do this. Remember, you've done this many times. And it's more not like having to do anything. It's more about just trusting yourself and remembering, trusting your feelings, trusting your gut. Yeah. So in a lot of ways, to get to that place of trust, it is about balancing your lower three chakras. The lower three chakras, and it's in our hearts. Our lower three chakras is the human chakras, right? And then these three chakras are the above spiritual chakras. And it's our hearts that kind of bridge the two, as above, so below. So if you're having a hard time manifesting that, or feeling safe, or not knowing how to navigate this emotional space, you look at those chakras, because it means those chakras are not in balance, meaning they're not expanding, they're not expansive. I'll leave a link to some videos, some meditation videos that have helped me through this beautiful woman that channels Mother Mary. It's beautiful to help balance those out for you. So as you see, as this breaks open, and there's three dots here, so it's about this new, you're moving out of duality. You know, they said the heart began with the duality, right? This mastering of the electro and the magnetic. So it kind of creates this push and this pull. Once you become aware of that, though, you can almost step aside of it. You're no longer a victim to it. You're more of an observer and recognizing, wow, okay, this is out of balance, or this is what's going on, or these are the lessons that I'm learning. You start moving into, instead of a duality, which is a number 2, you start moving into the 3, which is the Holy Trinity, which is the mastery of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. But it's a creative energy. It's when you master that Taurus heart, or that higher heart, right? When you really have that electro and that magnetic energy in balance within you, meaning you feel safe to be who you are, right? You have those 3 chakras going, they're in balance. You know who you are, and then you act on it everywhere. And it's a work in progress, I get it. But this is where we're going, right? This is where we're headed. This is honestly what we're remembering. And as we master this and balance it, right, we master the duality and we have both of those things in full flow. Then it moves into this electricity, where you start having all this energy, all this abundance of energy to do everything and create. It's partly why I keep talking about creation. We're all meant to create. That's part of our experience here. That's the 3. It's a creative energy. We're about the will of our higher selves, or the will of God, and however we want to, whatever and however we want to manifest that I am self into form, we do it. That's part of the fun of this planet. That's why it's so exciting to be here. It doesn't feel like that always, but it is. It's exciting. And that's this. So they're awakening your heart. They're really showing you the parts of you that need love to get back into that balance of heart, to get that electromagnetic energy flowing. Whether it's pulling it in and remembering who you are, or you start standing up for yourself and start creating boundaries. Right, wherever you're at, everyone's going to have a different path. Then you start beginning to tap into this abundance of energy. And what they're saying, what's going to happen is that we actually start creating a new heart. Not just a new heart, though. They say we're actually going to start seeing the invisible. We're going to start seeing more miracles. We're going to start seeing our guides, our angels, the other sentient beings, the little, thank you, fairies and gnomes. Sorry, this chair is moving. And again, that's also why there's 3 butterflies here. It's this transformative energy. But it's also about what happens when you do this, when you start melting your own ice. So this is not just melting the Earth's ice, which is about this time on the planet, but it's also about melting your own ice. And ice is representative of emotions, and water is also representative of our subconscious. So as we're bringing things from our subconscious into our consciousness, or as we're allowing these frozen emotions to come to the surface, what ends up happening is growth begins. That's what all this orange. I swear to God, I'm colorblind. I'm not really colorblind, but in my brain, I always want to say orange. When I see green, and whenever I want to see green, I want to say orange. Whatever, green, orange, I always flip them around. But I can tell that this is green. So it's just like a weird wiring in my brain. Anyways, little info about Wendy. But when you start doing that, that's when this green, your heart really starts to expand and abundance starts to take place for you. Abundance in anything and everything you desire, in relationships, in money, in energy. It's just you're connected to source. You're plugged in. You're plugged in. That's what this is. You're plugged in. You're no longer surviving. You're thriving. That's what this is about. This is about moving you into this space. So yeah, that's what the green is. And I want you to notice that it's a paradox, right? Or it doesn't make sense. Because how can this green stuff live where the ice does? And that's where our brains don't understand. And in the same way, Spirit's saying your brains are going to have the hardest time with this. Our brains remember everything, right? All of our past experiences. We have to, in any spiritual practice, they talk about letting go of the brain, surrendering the brain. And in this process, there is this fight. Probably, I'm a brain person, right? Like I live in my head. It's harder for me to live in this emotional space, but I'm moving through it and I'm sharing that with you guys. And this mental imbalance where we're so in our thinking selves, it fights, man. It does not want you to go to those emotional spaces because it's built to protect us from that. And when I say brain, I'm also interchanging that with what people would talk about as ego. The ego is the brain, right? It is the thing that doesn't want you to experience some of those deeper feelings and being like, don't trust that. You're not supposed to go there. But you are. You're supposed to tell the brain, it's okay, brain. We're still going to go here. We're still going to feel these things because this is the way through. Your higher heart knows the way. And so, in a way, what I have trained my brain to do is get it to follow those emotional spaces. All right, brain, you're the investigator here. Where are the emotions? Almost like a hound dog. So, in that way, I kind of get my brain and my heart to unite. And it's like surrendering logic. Your brain thinks it knows. You partly think you know what you're doing. And what Spirit's saying is like, no, you don't. You got to surrender. You got to let go. And you got to start trusting this feminine, emotional, intuitive space. And it's going to be uncomfortable because the brain's going to freak out. It is. It's going to freak out. It's not going to feel safe. And so you're going to feel like you're in the wrong place, but you're not. You keep trusting your emotions. You keep trusting your intuition. If you need help in this space, if you need help navigating this emotional space where it's hard for you to move beyond some of this stuff, that's where you get to ask for help. We all need help. I need help. I ask people for help in the space where I have people. I work with Brenda mostly, and I would suggest you working with Brenda if you never have. She's amazing. She's an amazing healer, and she really is beyond this world. And she has done this many, many times. And she knows the human experience and she knows how to navigate this emotional space in a way that I've never seen anybody been able to do. So get your brain out. It makes sense. It doesn't have to make sense, basically, to anybody. It's almost like welcome to the Alice in Wonderland kind of world. But this is where miracles happen. Like a miracle's not going to happen to your brain because your brain's not even going to allow for it. And we're entering the age of miracles where we have to let down our guards. We have to let go of worry and fear. We have to move out of survival. We're no longer there. Those things did happen, but we're no longer there. You're creating an amazing, beautiful life where you're safe and allowed to be who you are in every way. Part of this, part of her, look at her, she's looking up. She's desiring, right? She's eager. She almost has this innocence about her, this vulnerability. She's naked. And you need a vulnerability. Follow your vulnerability. If you think you're going to die, you're vulnerable. Go there. If it feels scary as hell, go there. That's trusting your vulnerability. And what that does is it turns your vulnerability into a strength and into a guide. And that is the magic way. That is the spiritual path. You let it all out. You be so honest with yourself about everything, even if that means you're not going to have any relationships anywhere or you're going to lose everything. The reward at the end is abundance, because you're finally stripping yourself down to nothing. Because all of these attachments to things are lies anyways. You're nothing but a beautiful being of light. You don't need anything. I mean, that's what yogis do and monks do, right? They practice that so much to where they can go without food and water because they've learned to tap into the frequency of light and love, to where their body kind of can move beyond those basic needs. I mean, there's so much stuff out there in regards to this. But it's time. It's time to be vulnerable. And in this innocence, looking and seeking, what do you want? And there's no right answer. That's the tricky thing too, because your answer is right for you, right? Whatever you want to do, whatever feels good to you, do that. Allow yourself to be you in every way. And you see these ripples here. That's about following your rhythm, right? Part of this is following your own rhythm, getting back to your own rhythm. And what that means in human form or a human way is what do you like, what don't you like? Following that, like not eating what you don't like to eat and whatever. And but also, are you tired? Sleep. I don't care if you're tired for 3 days. You might really need to sleep. There's so much going on energetically that you might really need to repair or go be in the other realms for a minute. Stop the judgment. Start beginning to trust your own rhythm. And not just trust it, follow it. That's what helps create this change. These two floating like iceberg things is about the duality. She's in water. So our way into this new heart is through water. It's through our emotions. It's through mastering water. There's also a message here about you talking with the water, talking to your body, the water in your body, and using affirmations, saying, I am healing, or I am changed, I'm willing to change, I am changing. I'm allowed to be who I am. Whatever affirmations you need, I am loving, I am lovable, I am powerful, I'm living in my sweet spot, I am living my divine purpose. Find affirmations and speak them. Partly that's what the blue is. The blue is here, is your authentic voice. It's representative of your throat chakra. And it's about not just your emotions, but also you being your authentic self. And your own rhythm, thank you, I forgot this piece. Your own rhythm and your authentic voice also include allowing yourself to have whatever emotional experience you're having. That is your own rhythm. It's not moving yourself out of anything. How are you feeling today is exactly the power of now. Where are you today? Well, I'm really sad, or I'm really angry, or I don't even know. I don't even feel present. Well, pull yourself back in. Where are you? What's going on? Well, I feel really overwhelmed. Sitting with yourself, creating habits, start them. It's January. Creating habits that help you on this path. Set yourself up for success. How do you feel every day? And allow for it. That's what your authentic voice really is however you're feeling. And if you're excited and you're empowered and you want to act, then act. I don't mean we're all just going to sit here and not act, but it's about balance, right? Well, I'm still checking in. How do I feel today? I feel pretty good. All right, I feel like there's a lot of electricity within me. I need to start acting on these things. And then it'll feel good, and keep continually to check throughout the day. How are you feeling right now? Do you need to take a break? Well, I'm feeling tired. Well, what do we need to help rejuvenate? It's really, all of this is just a love story to yourself. And I know I've said that before, and I'll say it again. It's really learning how to love yourself in an amazing way. And right now they're saying there's so much new energy that we have access to. A lot of a lot of electrifying energy. There's a lot of new energy on the planet. You can feel it. I know you can. And in some ways, it could be helping break your heart, but nothing bad is happening. It just is helping you discover your higher heart and to transform this darkness that's within you into light. And we do that by moving through it, by allowing for it to exist, by loving it. This is transformation through balance. And I really hope that you can feel the energy that I'm projecting to you, and even no matter when or where you're listening to this. It's very powerful stuff. It transcends time and space. It's so cool because I can feel all of you. So much love to you. You're not alone. You have so many beautiful, loving guides and angels around you. Always keep continuing to cultivate your own unique language with the divine. It's beautiful. It's amazing. You are. And so it is. Until next time, my beautiful friends, I can't wait to share February. We do have a live event. We're going to talk about what's coming up for the whole entire year in 2023. It's a free live event on YouTube. So go to our Facebook and click on our events, and you'll see it there with the link. If you are in town and you want to see it in person, we have like 10 spaces left of seeing it in person, and you can even get a private message in person. So you'll see those links there as well, or go to our website. So, all right, until next time, guys, sending love always. Bye.